Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of this radical feminist book, and it has been thought provoking, controversial, even annoying at times. However, we are learning what exactly their philosophy is. These rad fems, they call them, radical feminists. And she thinks that kind of human existence came from a dust exploding from the heart of a distant star. She mentions evolution. She's very anti-Christianity, so we can kind of see her ethics and her worldview. So she is talking about consent, and she stretches it to pretty absurd degrees, but we will learn more about what it is she's talking about and how she kind of muddies the water, I'd argue. Let us begin. You can't make human sexuality hurt less without going back to first principles, to the very basis of the unjust social contracts and sexual scripts that steer our lives. So she claims unjust contracts and sexual scripts. Let's see what she means. If you want to create a culture of consent, it's not just the matter of finding the right rules and following them. You need a sexual revolution. Well, the right rules, I'd argue, are the ones of Islam: gender segregation, modesty, no fornication, no adultery. That seems a lot better than open marriage, lewdness, and abortion culture. And brothel culture, I'd argue. You need a total rethink of how sex and love and work and gender and pleasure are defined. I don't think so. It's pretty simple. Keep your pleasure within your marriage. Love who you're married to. Keep sex for your partner and for reproduction, not abortion culture. And sex work is not real work, it's dishonorable work. And there are only two genders which are linked to your biology. If we want sexual freedom, we must first rework the way relationships are organized. So notice here, how can you strategize against them? So she wants sexual freedom, aka sexual degeneracy. So she wants to change the way relationships are organized. So not to have sex to only be within the marriage, right? Between a man and a woman, or a man and his lawful 4 wives. In Islam, at least, with polygamy. So we're going to see her technique here, and then we can help formulate ideas against her. The way violence is understood, the way bodies are controlled, the nature of femininity, and the meaning of masculinity. The good news is that we should probably be doing all of that anyway. In fact, the process has already started. Started with naming the problem. Okay, so her naming the problem. So far, her problem has been straight, white, Christian males. Okay. Yet, she says nothing about straight, black Muslims. Or straight, Asian Muslims. Very anti-Christian for its gender roles. But in no way does she mention the Jews or the Muslims or even old school Hindu gender roles and stuff. There's an extraordinary everyday magic in naming the problem. Rape culture refers to the language and customs that normalize R-word and make it a policing force in women's lives. R-word culture says, don't walk down that street. Okay, hold on. Wait a second. I disagree with that. Okay. I look at horror movies. There's always like this example where you shouldn't go down a shady area. You go into San Francisco, you go into Oakland, you go into Richmond. There's some pretty shady places where drug addicts are shooting up, gangbangers are selling crack, meth, fentanyl, and you don't want to take your baby stroller down there, do ya? Okay, you cannot walk into the crocodile infested waters and think no one's gonna take a snap. Okay, it's about evil. You stay where there's Lots of people where it's safe. You don't purposely walk into the shark's mouth, tickle its throat, and think it's not gonna want to chomp down. I learned this the hard way so many times. My arrogance when I was younger, being haughty, was like, yeah, when I lived in Philadelphia, I can go in any neighborhood I want. I just gotta mind my own business and keep walking. That's not how it works. Different gangs control different areas, and different dealers, they're on different places, and you can get caught in the crosshairs of someone else's drama, and you hear a bullet pop off, and you gotta go behind the corner of a building. You have to get out of there. Okay, there are people standing around waiting for an ignoramus to walk down their lane and rob you, do terrible things to you. Okay? It's just dangerous. You have to be smart. Okay? Very smart. I'm not gonna go off to, if I go hiking, I'm not gonna venture off into a different trail that doesn't exist, that's so thin, and think I'm not gonna get lost. I'm gonna stay on the beaten path, and I'm going to follow the trail signs with my little map and my family, and we're gonna have a good time, and then we're gonna go back to the car. Okay? You have to be smart. Be smart. Our word culture warns women, girls, and queer people to control themselves. Okay, so what's wrong with control? Okay? So again, she always does this. She loops the gender bender rainbow mafia with women and girls. Okay? You have to pay attention to these strategies they do in their rhetoric. It's always a big umbrella. And for us, as a mom, I'm pushing out the queer. No, you're not the same. You are you. You labeled yourself something different. Therefore, have that label. I am not under the same umbrella. The control is the point. The message is that the street is not for you. The world is not for you. Okay, listen here. Alright? Let's give us some real talk. Alright? The world ain't for you. Okay? It's for us to do good deeds, survive, and thrive. The world is a dangerous place. You go in the ocean, you can drown. There's some shark want to eat you. There's a stingray. There's a freaking jellyfish want to sting me. Alright? There's a shell I can cut my finger on. There's a crab who might step on me and pinch my ankle. Who knows? Tons of critters want to hurt you. Okay? I go sleep in the woods. Alright? Bunch of stupid spiders hanging around. We'll go around the desert. There's a dumb scorpion there ready to sting me. Okay? Let's say I'm walking through India. There's like a poisonous snake is looking at me, wants to strike me. Go to Arizona. There's a rattlesnake hanging out by the shed because it's hot and it didn't tickle its tail and now it bit me. Okay? I go to the savannah of Africa. I go and make a funny face at a hippo. It charges me. It eats me. Alright? I go and stick my hand in a bald eagle's nest. It's gonna tear me up. Take out my nose. Alright? The thing I love about when you looking at nature is you see how all of Earth is win or lose. Okay? The cheetah gotta feed her babies. She's gotta eat the wildebeest baby. The wildebeest gotta run real fast or be someone's lunch. That's just the way it works. Praying mantises, black widow spiders. There's even these specific types of bugs that lay their eggs in other bugs. I mean, it's crazy. It's tapeworms. There's just all kinds of stuff in this world. It's a pretty rough world. Okay? Pretty rough. You plant certain plants next to each other. Their one root system will override the other and kill the other so it can live. Tigers fight for their territory. Earth is rough. It is so selfish and entitled to think women shouldn't have to avoid dangerous areas. They should live in Disneyland, cotton candy, and walk around and think that they're just gonna be these beautiful little protected beings and no danger will ever come to them. No. Look where you are. You were in the Hunger Games. You're in a political economy of jobs and commerce and cutthroatness. You are in a place where there's diseases, earthquakes, tornadoes, filled in a world of crime. Okay? At least Thomas Hobbes had a good point. Nasty, brutish, and short. War, man against every man. You can have pretty moments of breaking bread and sharing grapes and having a cookout, but you cannot forget what kind of world we live in. Alright? Just take a gander at true crime series. Look at the people on death row. Look at some of the violent offenders in prison. What did they do? Okay? Look at what some of these cartels have done to communities. You thinking like, the street is not for you because you have to actually be careful and use your brain. It's like, yeah, don't go into the lion's den. Alright? If some hyenas munching on a dead elephant, am I gonna go walk over there with my newborn baby, sipping a vanilla latte, and be like, oh, this is amazing. I mean, I should be allowed to come here because the world is for me. This area is for me. And the hyena's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to eat you. Whose fault is that? If I go swim with hammerhead sharks, and one decides, you know what? I'm gonna see what this weird creature tastes like. And then it bites me, blood gets in the water, all the sharks come to take a sample. Whose fault is that? Mine. Because I went into their territory and imposed myself upon them when they didn't want me. The streets are the same. Okay? The streets are the same. You look shady, you see a couple tents, you see some broken glass, some lots of graffiti, someone high, kind of staring at the wall. Should I walk down that way? I think not. Alright? Don't walk in every single kind of place. Alright? Stick to where it's safe. Be smart. The naming and shaming of our culture is one of the most important feminist interventions of recent years, and also one of the most misunderstood. Our culture does not simply imply a society in which our word is routine. Its routine is, of course, every day in the United States, 600 women are R-worded and 3 are murdered by their partner or ex-partner. Violence against women is a very tragic thing. It's horrible. For me, the solution that I wish I would have learned was gender segregation. 1, don't go to parties where there's alcohol and drugs. 2, don't use alcohol and drugs and get high around men. 3, don't even get alone in a car with a man who is not your husband or one of your safe family members. Be smart, be wise, unless you're getting a taxi driver from a good service. I'm not trying to gamble for the feminists to be like, risky behavior to break boundaries and to normalize things. I'm not gonna be the bait. You wanna be the bait? Go ahead. Okay? You wanna be the bait to the great white shark? Have at it. But I'm not getting in the water. I am done thinking that men are not capable of vicious things against women. And the more I've been studying and looking into true crime, looking at these criminals, women are very similar. They just don't get covered as much. How about I just be safe and survive and thrive? And it's terrible. I'm a survivor of the R word, so is my mom and my grandma. And I wish I would have became a Muslim when I was in high school, because I would have never found myself in that situation. Don't be around men. You think you know them, you think you're safe, you just don't belong. That's why having a male guardian in Islam, a wali, going out with your male family members is so smart to me, because yeah, they could tie your wali up and hurt your male guardian, sure, right? Pistol whip him, whatever. But I think my life would have been so much better if I would have been just told that stay away from men. Okay? Don't be going to parties. You have nothing to prove. Why do you want to drink around them? You think that you're gonna be this bubbly, drunk girl, and they're gonna think you're some princess and want to wife you up. What is the psychology behind you wanting to get drunk at a party? Is you think you're moving up in your social ladder, but you're actually moving down. Be a good girl, stay at home, do your chores, learn to cook, marry a good man, boom. Okay? Stay the hell away from parties. You got nothing to prove. If I would have been just told that directly a couple times, I think I would have changed. How many fights, how many, things I witnessed at these parties. It's like, why was I doing that? Why was I there? I regret it all. Just a pure waste of time. Pure waste of time. The politics, like my personality, watching everyone, analyzing what they're doing, looking at their body language. The times where people would start fights outside, people would shoot. Now I'm hiding and ducking in the house because somebody's shooting at each other outside because they're drunk and someone hit another person on the head with a beer bottle. What am I doing? What am I doing? One girl's passed out, another one's over there throwing up. What? It's so stupid. So it's quite sad that this happens to women. But another example is, people say don't mention examples, but I think it's very beneficial, especially because feminists will accuse me of stuff. So I think it's important to defend my honor and defend my character and learn from my mistakes. But I remember I went to a hotel party once, got drunk, guy tried to pull down my pants. He didn't end up doing anything because I was like, stop it. And I said, and he stopped. Alhamdulillah. And I had drank too much tequila. But if he wouldn't have stopped, I was so intoxicated that I would not have been able to physically fight him back. Okay? And I had no idea that person was capable of doing such a thing. And that particular individual, I didn't know his name, but he was at the party and he didn't even say more than 7 words to me. Right? And I didn't expect that. So that was the last time I ever went to a hotel party. Last time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me. But I woke up and realized I walked into the lion's den. When you start drinking, people get hot and bothered and they think they can take you. I can't be the bait to make them rationalize how they should be a better person. I should have just not been there. There was no benefit, but I thought having fun was worth it. No. I can have fun in healthier, safer ways, which I do now. Bird watching. You can go boating with your family. You can do all kinds of stuff that doesn't involve getting drunk with strangers who will violate you. Okay? They're just waiting in the bushes for you to have your guard let down so they can pounce. And when I started realizing that behavior, I was like, okay. I am never doing that again. So when she mentions here, like it's all the men, I'm like, no, man, we women have to be smarter. We have to be smarter. I'm not, I've had, you get the point. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men will be R-worded at some point in their lives. That's quite sad. It's sad that humans are so prone to that action. But R-word culture isn't just a culture where this happens. It's a culture where this happens and it's normal. Okay. So, we wouldn't say, like, it's normal as in accepted, as in we condone it, but normal as in evil exists, and we acknowledge that evil exists, and we should do our best to mitigate risks in your life as a woman. I used to not know how to advocate for myself a little bit. I'd be walking home from work. A customer who had frequented there was like, oh, would you like a ride? He's handsome, got a good looking car. I said, no, thanks, I'm fine. And other girls were like, what are you saying no for? But I was like, no, I'm not getting in the car. Every time you get in a car with a man, it is dangerous. Okay? It is always dangerous. You need to be smart. That's why I like seeing old, nice little drive-in Miss Daisy taxi drivers. They're less of a threat. I see a young guy, I may call another taxi. I'm not getting in the car. Alright, I've seen enough where Lyft and Uber is having sexual assaults in their taxis. So, and there was also cases of people having fake taxis, and they were just recording themselves harming women and uploading it to the internet. And so, just gotta be careful. So I forfeit a lot so that I can stay safe. Me and my children can stay safe. It's just what we have to do. We can wish for the world to change. We can talk to our sons and help them to be better, right? But you never let your guard down, because it's going to be impossible to eradicate evil from Earth, because evil will always be on this Earth. And so, just as you put your seatbelt on in the car, just as you put your helmet on when you ride your bike, when you go out into the world, you acknowledge that evil exists, and there's always someone and something, spiritually and physically, that wants to harm you. Some say, oh, you living, that's nihilistic, that's cynical. No, that's practical. Because that's the truth. That's the raw truth. And so, I wouldn't say that we argue that it's normal, but that it is something that exists. And you can, like I said, talk to men, try to get them to stop. But some of them are wicked. How do you get an evil entity, an evil human being, to stop being that way? That's one of the biggest paradoxes of life. People who reform themselves and those who are permanently ingrained into malice. So be safe wherever you are. Even if you're in a safe community, even if you go to a very elegant party, there's some weirdos in those big houses, man. As Cat Williams said in one of his stand-up specials, you can go into the wrong room in one of those fancy parties and see things you don't want to see. You know, just close that door. So don't think that the rich are any less scary than the crack houses in the hood. You just gotta be careful. Be around wholesome, high trust community people, and even then, still be on guard. You think I'd ever leave my daughters alone with any of my male relatives? No. They're always gonna be by my side, inshallah. I'll always let them know, no. If we're all at a family gathering and they're on their computer and you're in the living room with them, get as close to the door as you can. Be smart, be wise, don't turn your back on somebody. Always lock the door when you go to the bathroom. Always lock the door when you're getting dressed. Be smart, be wise. Look in the back seat of your car before you get in. You know, be wise. That's just leveling up. That's security mindset. Security mindset. Do soldiers just run into the open field, into the enemy? They have stealth. They have strategy. They have tactics. Win, survive, do good deeds. We all return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll all be tested with struggles and danger. We'll have moments of peace and beauty, but don't ever forget where you live. You have to be wise. That's what I'd argue. You know, because there's dangers, like if you go with a rich, powerful man, he's got money to disappear you. Alright? So don't think, oh, I'm going to go on a yacht and I'm going to hang out, we're going to eat caviar and have champagne, you know, mimosas. And thinking if he didn't want, he could just be like, off you go, starboard, pay off some police. You never know. You know? You don't think these cartel and mafia guys get rid of women who saw too much or asked too many questions? It's like the oldest cliche in the book. So don't think just because someone has money that something shady can happen to you. I mean, the oldest stereotype is a rich guy eliminating the sex worker. I mean, that's like the oldest thing in the book. Like, that's probably like one of the worst true cliche stereotypes that exist. And like, how many movies have we seen that? How many news stories? It's quite common, unfortunately. It's quite heartbreaking. How do you get people to stop doing that? Don't live that lifestyle, stay away from evil. So be safe wherever you are. It's not about just women being in danger. Little boys are in danger as well. Little boys are in danger, and little girls, and more soft men who don't really have the strength to stand up to the wicked men. It's quite dog eat dog out there, I'd argue. Let me know what you think. There's some heavy topics. Heavy topics. But important nonetheless to think about. Hope you enjoyed, and if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.